Hello, everyone. Today I've got with me Shabnam, who has joined me for a few minutes just to do a little spotlight together where we can learn more about what she does, who she does it for, what makes her different, all those kind of things. So, Shab, thanks so much for joining me today. How are you?
Hi, Andrew. I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, this is good. I'm looking forward to learning a little bit more about what you do. So, let's start off with pitch perfect, as I like to call it. So, let's just imagine for a moment that you and I just met for the first time on an elevator, and you've got 60 seconds, and I say, "Hey, nice to meet you, Shabnam. What do you do for a living?" What would you say?
I would say, hi, I'm Shab. I'm a leadership coach for women in tech, and I feel like women in tech have a huge gap for where they are to where they want to be. The tech industry was designed by men for men, and we don't have a lot of support for women who are trying to grow their careers in that space. So I'm really there to support all women who want to uplevel their careers and live more balanced lives. Uh, it's just okay, sorry. I just screwed
Nope.
up, but anyways, that's my pitch, like pretty quick for what it is that I help women with.
I like it. The
That
things
was
that I
actually that was not the professional one. I just like riffed on actually. So that's
No, that's okay. Yeah, that's okay. I mean, I can tell you just from hearing that really for the first time, like I know who your audience is. It's women who are
Mhm.
in the tech space and what the underlying challenges that women in that space have to deal with, and then
Yeah.
exactly what it is that you do for them.
Yeah. Okay.
So I,
Great.
you know, I think that's pretty good. I think that's pretty good.
Okay.
So,
Thanks.
all right. Well, let's dig in a little bit deeper though, because if it were me on the elevator, I'd say, well, I'm not a woman in tech. But if it were a
Mhm.
woman in tech, I think they would perk up. And then that would lead to some other questions that go a little bit deeper. So let's dig into that. We're going to spend a few minutes on each of these questions. So I think the next logical one then is, well, who do you help? I know it's women in tech, but let's dig in a little bit deeper.
Yeah, so I help women at all levels in their career. So if they're pushing into their first leadership role, I'm a great person to work with them in order to feel more comfortable in this new position. There's always lots of imposter syndrome that comes up. I also help women who are seasoned leaders who just don't have that support that they need in their career because once you hit a certain level in leadership, you really can't go to your manager and say, hey, here's what I'm dealing with all the time. You're really expected to deliver results, and the conversations you have are centered around that. So I'm there as your career advocate to help you think through different possibilities for what it is that you're looking for and to ultimately have a career you love.
Okay. I like that. Um, I could see that as being a really valuable thing because if you're much like the whole first gen community, there's this sense of, hey, I'm the first in my family to start a business. I don't know what I don't know. I've got the odds stacked against me. I think all of that is also true for women in the tech industry.
That's such a good point. A lot of women who are in leadership are the first in their families to be leaders, especially as women, because their mothers might have been stay-at-home moms, or they might be immigrants. Especially in tech, we have such a diverse group of women who are taking on leadership roles, which is fabulous. But then the odds are stacked against them in some ways too, because they don't really know what they don't know and they're figuring it out for the first time. So having a career advocate or a coach in your corner can really help you accelerate the results that you're looking for.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And I would think too, just much like the community again, just knowing you're not alone and having someone to bounce ideas off of and maybe things that you're a little freaked out about, you can be helped to appreciate it's not as big of a deal as you're worried about or vice versa. So I see
Yeah.
a lot of potential there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
All right, well, let's go into a little bit further now. So what's your mission? I mean, kind of big picture, what are you trying to accomplish here?
Yeah, so my big picture goal is to get more empathetic women into leadership. We know that leadership used to be this kind of draconian model of do what I say,
Mm,
and we're entering a new paradigm. And so I really am trying to help this cultural shift that more empathetic women can make it into leadership and that it's valued, right? And ultimately, what I'm trying to work on with these women is for them to really work with their queen energy. That is such a beautiful archetype in mythology. And so a woman who is in her queen energy is still in her femininity, but she's also getting things done and using her generosity to make really positive cultural impact in her queendom or wherever it is that she works.
That's awesome. I have never heard that before. But what a cool kind of unique take on all of it. And you're right about the archetype. Like, even though I know nothing about it, just hearing you explain it that way, it's like, yeah, that makes perfect sense. You've not given up any of those good qualities, but you're still kind of moving the needle forward for you and everyone in your circle.
Yeah, I think it's just important because queens are generous at their nature, and part of that is actually helping women share some of that generosity with themselves, because we don't want
Mm,
martyrs here, right? We want people who have their cups full and they're able to work on their own self-care, because that whole saying help yourself before you can help others
mhm.
is so true when it comes to women in leadership. We see so many who are burning out because they're putting everyone ahead of themselves. And I would like to see that done a little bit differently.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. Well, I can totally get behind that. I think that that's a really great mission, and I love that you have so much clarity on it, and that it's a true mission. It's not just, well, I'm looking for clients.
Yeah, totally.
You can actually
Thank
have an impact.
Yeah, thank you.
That's great. All right, so let's get into a little bit more detail then. Let's say someone says, "Okay, I like what you're saying. I dig the whole queen energy thing, and I'm a woman in tech." Well, what happens when they actually choose to work with you as their coach?
Yeah, so the first thing I really end up working on is really asking the client, what is it that you actually want, right? I really think it's important for clients to know that, because the coaching won't be valuable unless they're super honest. So we get really clear on what they're looking for, what they actually truly want, and not what they are saying they should be doing. And from there, we create a plan and we achieve results for them. And through that time, it's like, how do we overcome some limiting beliefs? How do we actually make actual changes in our day to day so that we go from having good conversations and coaching to making actual impact in our lives? And so, whatever it is that it is their priority, which whether it is, being a better leader or creating more time for themselves, overcoming imposter syndrome, and negotiating higher salaries, whatever that goal is, we accomplish that through a 6-month minimum process, and they come out on the other side closer to the goal that they thought was 5 years from now. We can actually have that in 1 or 2 years from now, right? So it's a whole it's there's a lot of detail and nuance that goes into the coaching, but the ultimate goal is to get results.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. And I can imagine just having that conversation, asking that question, what do you want? I would guess there's a fair percentage of people don't know the answer to that, at
Yeah,
least not off the bat, and you have to kinda unpack that a little bit to even answer.
absolutely. Absolutely, and I was there, like, that was me, right? I had no idea what I wanted for myself. I just was living in a way where I was thinking I had to accomplish XYZ milestone by XYZ age,
Mhm.
and I found myself feeling really lost, and so when I finally received coaching myself and had the opportunity to dream and had someone believe in that dream with me, it changed the game for me. And I actually took the time to discover what I want, which is so important in living a
Awesome.
happy, fulfilling life.
Well, that tells me too that you've actually gone through this process yourself. So you're not just someone out there kind of fake it till you make it type of person, but you've gone through this process. You've been able to walk through that with some of your existing clients, and you've seen the results that come from that. So no doubt you could repeat that for anybody else who comes along your way.
Yeah. I know the power of coaching works, and a good sign is that your coach has a coach, because if they don't, that's probably a red flag.
Yep, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, this has been super helpful. Shabnam, I appreciate you taking a few minutes out of your day for me. If you want to get in touch with Shab, you're a woman in tech or you know a woman in tech who could benefit from her coaching, you can go to her LinkedIn profile. I'll include a link to that down below. But again, thanks so much. I'm glad to have you here as a part of the community and look forward to growing our businesses together.
Yeah. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you for having me.
All right. Talk to you soon.